Aha! We're here. We've got the wrong view there though. How to go there? What? It's supposed to have automatically switched over to this view, not the one that you saw. I have to investigate what happened there. That's terrible. Okay, hello and welcome to another live stream. I'm doing a repair at the same time as doing a live stream because I want to kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. Let me just get myself organized here. Got this crazy view worked out over here as well, that if we do this, we can get a whole lot of different views happening at once. Now, now I've lost that screen. What? Of course, it's gone to sleep. All right, let's get organized here. What we're going to do is a Harry's glue mat repair. Got to move things out of the way here. Everything is now working in the shack. I spent the last 2 weeks, because that's why you haven't seen me. I've spent the last 2 weeks getting everything working just the way that I want it to. How did I get the calculator going? That is weird. Got some weird stuff happening over here today. This top right-hand view, this one here, is going to disappear from time to time because I cannot get, unless I do a firmware update that I did see that online, there's a way of fixing up the EOS M3, Canon EOS M3, which is my old faithful camera. That's the very first camera that I got when I started doing YouTube way back when. And so I haven't killed off cameras unless they're broken and I can't repair them. So what we're doing today, just to explain what's going on first of all, this is the Kodak PixPro WPZ2, which I've done a mini review on, which I love. It's my daily shoot, my daily camera. It's waterproof to 15 meters, dustproof to just dustproof. It has a built-in microphone, mono, over here, there. It's got a little tiny hole there for the microphone to go in. You can just see it, I think. It has a 5-axis gimbal, so to speak, internally. So the sensor floats around and it does a up, down, left, right, in, out compensation for movement. So, and image stabilization is really good. I'm really happy with it. It does 1080p. It's a 12 megapixel sensor and it takes awesome photos. It's got a built-in flash. It's a camcorder basically in a camera format, and I love it. The only thing I don't like about it is I can't change the aperture manually. I can change the shutter speed, but I can't change the video capture shutter speed. It's fixed at 30 frames per second. So I can work around that in DaVinci Resolve, not a problem, but I can't change the aperture and I can't change, like there's no ND filter in there. I can change the ISO. So what I do is I set the ISO on automatic, set my frame rate, it's fixed at 30 frames per second, unfortunately, but anyway, that's that. So I can trick it into getting wide aperture by making the ND filter as dark as I can, this one here. So then when it's nice and dark, I can force it to be a wider aperture and give it that depth of field. So on this setting here, I can get it to get nice and dark. The only problem with putting all that together and mounting it on the front permanently, oh, we see there, it's gone. The only problem doing a permanent mount there is that it blocks the flash, and so the flash doesn't work properly. So what I did on Amazon was I spent $12, I think, on this. It'll fit in there, step-up ring, and then I can do a step-up to step-up to step-up to get the ND filter to go on when I need it. I don't want to have it mounted permanently. That one is tiny, 28 mils. 28 millimeter, yeah. So it fits in the bezel recess on that. Doesn't upset the vision, doesn't upset the flash. and therefore I can attach and detach my ND filter when I need. So I'm going to glue that together now. That's what this whole thing is about this morning. I'm going to use Pride Meats business card as the stirrer for applying the Araldite glue. So I'm pushing Araldite and Pride Meats and Kodak as sponsorships for. No, they're not sponsoring any of this, by the way. I'm sponsoring it. So I've got the last bit of Araldite left in here. There's nothing left. I think there's absolutely nothing left. That's gone. All right. I've got another tube somewhere else. Let's get that. Ugh, it's all sticky. So we want to have a different view so we can see what's going on, don't we? Let's go there. I'll show you the other end. Can I show you the other end? No, not that view. Which view was it? Was it that one? Might be that one. Kind of that one. So I can show you where I'm going so I'm not disappearing out of view all the time. We've got that one, and that glue, it's instant. The thing is I don't have the stirrer on this anymore. So let's see. This one, this is the de-gooer, de-solve it, which I love because when I get the sticky glue on my fingers, I can use that to clean up, which means I really should get a thing, which is a little bit of tissue paper over here. I want to make sure you can see what I'm doing, so that's why I'm moving the views around so often. Oh, there we go, that was working. Okay, so I've got that and that. I'm already sticky, so I'm going to unsticky my fingers. So I've been having a great time in the Schack for the last 2 weeks. So I've got a push 2 over here. You can just see the edge of it there, hooked into Ableton Live with 2 Akai controllers. This one's the MIDI mix, which I use for twisting knobs over here for gain and effects and things like that in Ableton Live. And this one here for patching in clips and then changing channels and tracks and things in Ableton Live, which is great. So that's what's been taking up a lot of my time. And so I've hooked up the Roland Gayer SH01 via MIDI and using the audio output. So I'm using USB for audio and MIDI communications between Ableton Live and the Roland, and I've done the same thing with the Microfreak. So is that how that works? What's going on here? I don't know if that's supposed to be there or not. Anyway, so this glue set's really fast apparently. Oh, it's already sealed up. You see, I'm going to throw this away because it's pretty much used up its usefulness for me now as well. So that's what's been taking up the last couple of weeks. That's why I haven't done a live stream for the last 2 Tuesdays. Just in case you were wondering. Oh man, I hate this. Oh yeah, there it goes. So we've got two pieces of epoxy here. I've got to mix that all together quickly. So we'll keep that over there. We'll use our little old card here. I've used way too much. I don't need that much. And I've been trying to get myself a website going for the last little while, unbeknownst to most of you, but in the background in my head was, how am I going to get a website going at minimal cost? And I heard someone talking about Substack as being a platform that you can use to host. So I'm going to quickly apply some of this glue here to the edge. Substack can be your host. If you haven't heard of Substack, go to substack.com, have a look on there. It's a bit like a combination of Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. That might be the best description. It's basically a platform which combines a whole lot of things together in the one platform. That's all we've got to do is just put that in there like that, see? That's done. So that will set in there. Let's make sure it's going to stay. But the thing about Substack, there it goes again. The thing about Substack is that I can do it for minimal cost. Do you remember when the internet first came into popularity? Probably. So the internet, I helped roll it out at the university I was working in 1992 when it came to the kind of the mainstream use around 92 in universities. First it was rolled out to education. So the Defence Forces would have got it first, and then educational institutions, and then businesses started using email. It was very much like what happened with the fax machine. So the fax machine, I remember seeing fax machine technology being talked about in the early 80s. The post office was the one who had one of the first faxes that we could use publicly. And so it's very much like that. It just crept in slowly, and business got a hold of it and started using it. And before long, all businesses had fax machines, and you could send faxes all over the place for the cost of a local phone call. My point is that technology is expensive and hard to use and hard to come by initially, and then over time it becomes very mainstream and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And that's what's happened with a thing like Substack. So getting a domain name back in the early days of the internet was fairly involved and fairly expensive. Typically it'd be something in the order of a monthly charge, something like $10, $20 a month to host or have your own domain name. So a domain name being www.andrewharris.com.au, for example. And just now, with Substack offering not only domain name purchases, so there's a one-off charge for them hosting your domain name. So you've got to go through two services to get your presence on the internet now, if on the cheap. This is the cheapest that I've been able to find it. So I've gone to two companies to set up this web presence. So before I go to that detail though, let's just cover off that early ground. So internet usage was expensive to start with. So domain names were expensive. There was a monthly charge. Not only did you have to pay, and you still do, have to pay for a domain name separate to your actual web hosting service. They're integrated more and more nowadays, but it used to be very separate. There was a domain name registrar, and then there was a hosting service that would host a website separate to email, which is the same as today. So you've got servers for handling email, servers for handling web traffic, and then domain name servers for hosting the name to tie up an IP address to a actual domain name. And there's costs for all of that. But what's happened now is places like Substack are amalgamating all that together. So you've got mail servers, web hosting servers, but not the domain name yet in the one service, Substack. So Substack's doing mail serving and web hosting and streaming, so video, audio, chats. You can have a chat session in Substack, all from the one platform. And you can post pictures, post videos, post blogs, create a newsletter, all on the one platform, Substack. and you can do it free. I've got a free membership. There's different levels of membership or plans that you have. So the free one is what I've got, and it's working reasonably well so far for what I need it to do. Yeah, so to get my presence on the internet now on the cheap, what I've done is I've gone through a company called Cloudflare to actually buy a domain name from. Because I'm doing more and more sound, I've decided to get the Sound Guy as a domain name. So that cost me $10 for 1 year, and it's set on auto renew. So I can now spend $10 a year for the domain name, which used to be a monthly charge. I'm not sure how much it was now, but it was in the order of between $5 and $10 a month to actually keep your domain name. Now that's come, so the cost is so inexpensive now, I can't believe it. It's literally $10 a year to have that domain name. And then when you attach that domain name to Substack, there's a bit of a back end work that needs to be done there to make that happen. But Substack will basically let you point your domain name to their servers. So I then use Cloudflare to point the soundguy, .com to the Substack servers and their infrastructure. And to do that, there's a one-off charge of $50 US. So it's about, what's that, $87 or something like that, Australian, to get that going. But that's a one-off charge. And then that's it, you're done. So anyone who types in www.thesoundguy.com now will go to my Substack page and see what's on Substack, which is what I'm going to use for hosting my website, my blog, my newsletter, live real-time chat. So I don't have to have all these funky kind of attachments or separate services. So I don't have to have Discord, I don't have to have YouTube, I don't have to have Twitter, I don't have to have Facebook. Substack does all of those things in the one platform. So I can do live streams, I can do video, I can do audio, I can do blogs, newsletters, emails, chat, everything from the one platform. That's why I think Substack is quite revolutionary, and I think it's going to be picking up more and more business just on the functionality that's there, and being so cheap, a free service. And it's interesting the way that they make money out of their platform. What they're doing is creators or content producers in Substack don't get charged. It's the people using the Substack channels or subscriber services who pay Substack. So you join up as a user, and to get access to a Substack channel's content, some of them are charging for access to their blogs, their newsletters, PDFs, downloads, videos, streams, access to them in effect. And the charges are something like, I think you can start from $5 per digital item. I don't know if that's monthly or not. I think it might be monthly. So the user basically pays, and then Substack makes their money from that. They don't charge the content creator as much. Because as a content creator, obviously you're subscribing to other Substack creators as well. So it's not like you're in isolation and you're kind of taking all the money or not contributing. So it's a pretty cool way of setting up a business to be sustainable financially without continuously having to increase or change the pricing structure. So far, anyway. So if you notice, like Netflix and Prime or Amazon, remember how they used to have a free service where there were ads, and then you paid the premium service where there were no ads. That's changed. Now they're charging you for the premium service in both Netflix and Amazon, and they're still showing ads. So you're paying more for what you used to have a benefit for, which was no ads, you're paying more and you're still getting ads, and you're paying on top of that to rent movies to watch. It's so bizarre. So their business model is going to fail because people are going to get sick of that. I've stopped subscribing to Netflix. I just think it's pointless. I might as well go and buy a movie in a DVD format or Blu-ray format and then have that to watch whenever I want ad-free. So that's why I think Substack, the way they're handling it is pretty smart. They've got away from trying to be sneaky about it and charge more and more for things that were included earlier for the same cost. It's a long way of saying they're just getting greedy and wanting to increase their pricing on a regular basis. So Substack, I think, won't do a similar thing initially. Eventually they'll have to, because like any tech company, they're going to be doing an IPO. They're going to be run by shareholders. Shareholders want to have returns on their investment in the company on a regular basis, and that puts pressure on the company to work out, how do I make more money to satisfy the stakeholders so they can continue to invest in my company. So it's a bit of a vicious cycle, and it means that they've got to think creatively on how to charge more money from people like us to use their services. So eventually Substack will go the same way, but in the interim, there's this window now where you can get a really good service for next to nothing. So like I said, I've paid one-off $50 US, and I'm paying $10 a year for the domain name, and everything else is taken care of. I've got web hosting taken care of Substack, email, blog, newsletter, chat, streaming, video, photo. Everything is included in Substack in that yearly. Is it Substack that's paying? I'm paying that too. Yeah, that yearly charge of. In fact, I'm not even paying Substack that $10. That $10 a year is actually going to Cloudflare. The $50 is a one-off charge that was paid to Substack, just to be able to get the domain to point to Substack servers. So they may, down the track, introduce charges to cover their costs for the infrastructure to host web pages and all the bits and pieces. But for now, it's free as part of the free subscription for Substack. All of that's included, the email and web hosting. And like I said, the domain name is a $10 a year charge to Cloudflare. So there's two companies I'm using, Cloudflare for the domain services and Substack for the actual hosting. Yeah, so that's really, really interesting to me that they're doing that. So I took advantage of that in the last couple of days, and I've got everything set up now so the domain name points to the Substack. It took about a day because the DNS servers around the world need to be updated with all the information to the changes to the DNS records. It's pretty well explained online, but it's very easy to get messed up with the DNS record editing. And one of my browsers didn't display the buttons on the screen properly, so I didn't know how to add a new DNS record because I couldn't see on my web browser what buttons I had to click on. Yeah, I discovered with another web browser I was able to see the buttons. So there are some technical difficulties from time to time with this stuff. But overall, it took a day to set up everything to the point where it's now working properly. So that's not bad. There you go. So yeah, Signub on another front, Signub is behaving strangely. So I was scheduled to work every day this week, and then everything got pulled, and so now they're calling pretty much every day saying, "Can you work today?" Which is really not the way it should be done. They're supposed to give, I don't know how many days, there's supposed to be a number of days notice anyway. They can't just call you on the day and say, can you work today? That's, how you're supposed to plan your life around that. So I'm a bit annoyed with the way they're treating everyone in that kind of, that way. So I'm doing 4 hours where it suits me, otherwise saying, no, I'm not available. There's different reasons for that. I'm sure it's to do with the economy and the lack of spare cash that people now have. It's interesting, I've spent a lot of time on YouTube just researching and doing things like that, and there's different channels that I come across from around the world. And it's becoming more and more apparent that AI is actually having a massive impact on the middle classes around the world. Big companies like Meta, Google, Microsoft, they're laying off thousands of people at a go around the world and having their jobs replaced by AI, which is really interesting because I think I was on the cusp of that. That's kind of, it's not really why I lost my last contract, but it's making it difficult to get back into IT. So I've kind of given up in that realm to get back into IT. So instead of that, I'm actually looking at other avenues to try and get multiple sources of income rather than just one source of income. So because I'm interested in music and electronics and all kinds of other subjects, what I'm going to do is actually create a web presence with Substack and YouTube and push Substack more and more, because I think I can do probably just as much on it more on Substack that I can on YouTube, and then grow some online streams of income that way. So one way is going to be writing music. I met with a guy called Andrew Hind, who I first got in contact with via YouTube. I was watching one of his YouTube channels and videos, and he was talking about how he's a guy in his late 50s who's transitioned from a photography business into music production. So he's writing music for TV shows, what are they called? The reality TV shows in particular. He's getting a lot of interest in the music he's written for that format. I think he said it took between 3 and 5 years for him to start making money out of that, but I'm used to that with YouTube. YouTube is such a slow growth platform that I'm not kind of deterred from going down that path, because it's going to take a long time to eventually make money from it. But it is an annoyance, but I think it's a better way. If you made a lot of money quickly, I think you'd be under the false assumption that you can continue to do that forever. When money comes too easy, it points to it being not a really good long-term sustainable business idea. I find that the things that are harder to get going and take a while to make money with will last longer. So that's the approach I'm going to take with this as well, is to find things that are maybe a bit more difficult, but have that longevity to them. So it'll be a long-term sustainable, viable business. So towards that end, I'll get some guidance from Andrew Hind. So I'm asking him to be a bit of a mentor to help me understand and navigate how to make the business work, and hopefully he'll guide me in mistakes to avoid. At the same time, try and build this channel. At the same time, try and get more work doing sound recording and scoring of movies, which is pretty much in line with what Andrew Hind is doing as well. So trying to find out a bit of a niche in that market, because I can't see AI doing a great job. Talking to people around music production, they're basically saying more and more that businesses and people with more money to dispose of making movies, they're inclined to step away from engaging with AI simply because the legalities of it all are still a bit unknown. So it could open litigation. It could open them being sued for using AI-generated content, which is still being worked out in the legal systems as to whether it's owned by an AI company or can be used in making movies, for example, or being used commercially. So rather than open up a can of worms or get themselves into legal trouble, they're opting to stay away from using AI, which means they're using potentially more and more people to actually get music in particular created. So based on that understanding, I think there could be a future in making music for people to use for their artistic endeavours. So yeah, I'm investigating that further as well. I'll keep working at Signub casually. It gets me out and meeting people and talking in the real world. Otherwise, I could easily stay here all day, every day in the shack, just doing this stuff. I love it so much. I'll also be looking at doing music just for its own sake, because I really enjoy that, especially with the synthesizers now. With access to software to emulate pretty much anything, you can make any sound you want now. But I still love the analog, organic kind of feeling of a wooden instrument going into electronics and electrons flowing through that, and speakers moving air. That feeling is really, really cool. And pedals, oh my God, guitar pedals. So interesting, really good fun. So in a nutshell, that's what's been going on. That's why I've been a bit quiet. I'm still putting my video together for Red, the guitar, so that is coming out soonish. It's going to take a while. The shack is cluttered like crazy, but everything is here for a reason. So anything I can get rid of, I will be getting rid of soon, and then everything else I'll be holding on to because I need to use it. Having fun though, that's the main thing. And you, what's happening in your life? Tell me. I want to know. I want to know. Because there's a small number of us in this community right now. And while we've got the chance, we might as well build it and make it as real as we can. I'm just checking to see if anyone's jumped in and wanting to chat. There's no thing happening. That's cool. It is middle of the day in Sydney, and therefore probably middle of the morning around the world elsewhere. That's pretty much it. So I'm freezing to death. It's winter time here, and I'm in my t-shirt, but it's kind of, what is the degrees that we've got out there? Let me check. Yeah, so it's 19.5 degrees in the shack. So it's about the same outside because I got the door open. Middle of winter. This is, well, not the middle of winter, start of winter. Where are we? The 4th, I think. Yeah, 4th of June. So we're starting off winter. I'm wearing a t-shirt. I have got a beanie on, admittedly, so it is cool, but it's not excessively hot, let's say. Okay, so that's it. We've done our glue mat repair. I've got glue everywhere. This, thank you to Pride Meats reward card. That's awesome. I now have a filter attachment attached to the camera. That's cool. So the reason I've changed this over now is because I dropped the camera on a walk with Alfie, the dog, and it broke off that. There was, if you remember, there was black tape around the side of it, so it didn't damage anything, so it took the brunt of the force, but it did break it off. So I thought I'll take the opportunity, because I knew that flash was not working so great. So I've taken the opportunity to enhance, let's say, the camera. I've just noticed it's a tiny bit off axis, but that's okay. So that'll be used again for cinema grade photography. I'm joking, but it's still useful to have that ND filter to be able to be taken off and put on when I want, because I use that ND filter on other cameras, so it's not sitting on there permanently. But I do have one problem. I need an extra step-up ring in there to join that together. So I just ordered one on Amazon. It's coming in on Saturday. So we might do another update on that. But that's what it's going to look like. That'll be sitting on front, and otherwise it'll be sitting like that. Lovely. We've done it. On that note, I'm going to go because it's getting on, and I've got to get ready to actually go to Signub because I'm going to start there in a little bit, in about 25 minutes. If you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, if you would like to disagree with me on my take on the internet history, or Substack, you're not a fan, you can let me know. Or YouTube. Maybe you don't care. Maybe I don't care. I don't know. I don't care. I'm going to go. See ya. Take it easy. Bye now.